The morning rush at the small corner cafe was like any other, fast, loud, and unforgiving. People rushed in with tired eyes and empty cups, chasing time like it owed them something. No one noticed the man standing quietly at the back of the line, his hands trembling slightly as he counted the coins in his palm, over and over again. But one small moment, just a few dollars, a simple choice, was about to ripple through lives in a way no one in that cafe could have imagined. Before we begin, if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps this channel bring more meaningful stories that remind us what really matters. It was a cold Tuesday morning in Chicago. Emma stood behind the counter, tying her apron as the door chimed open again. She had been working double shifts for weeks, barely sleeping, barely breathing between orders. Life hadn't been easy lately. Rent was overdue, her car needed repairs, and her mom's medical bills were piling up. Still, she smiled. "Next," she called, forcing warmth into her voice. That's when she noticed him. The man stepped forward slowly. His jacket was worn, his beard untrimmed, and his eyes held a quiet kind of exhaustion that Emma recognized too well. "Just a small coffee," he said, his voice low. Emma nodded and rang it up. "That'll be $2.75. The man hesitated. He opened his hand, revealing a small pile of coins. He counted them once, twice, then looked up, embarrassed. "I'm short," he whispered. Behind him, the line grew restless. Someone sighed loudly. Another checked their watch. Emma paused. For a moment, she thought about her own situation, how every dollar mattered, how she was barely keeping things together. Then she took a quiet breath. "It's okay," she said gently. "This one's on me." The man blinked, as if he hadn't heard correctly. "Are you sure?" She nodded, already reaching for a cup. "Everyone deserves a warm coffee." For the first time, the man smiled. It wasn't big, but it was real. "Thank you," he said, holding the cup like it was something precious. "You have no idea what this means." Emma shrugged lightly. "Just pass it on someday." He nodded slowly, as if making a promise. And then he left. Emma didn't think much of it after that. The day moved on, orders piled up, and life continued as usual. Kindness, to her, was just something you did, not something you expected back. But across the city, something had shifted. The man walked into a nearby park, cradling his coffee. He sat on a bench, letting the warmth seep into his hands. For the first time in days, he felt seen, like he mattered. A few minutes later, he noticed a young woman struggling nearby. She was trying to carry a stroller up a small set of stairs, her toddler crying, groceries slipping from her grasp. Without thinking, he stood up. "Let me help," he said. She looked at him, hesitant at first, then nodded. Together, they lifted the stroller, gathered the groceries, and made it to the top. The woman sighed in relief. "Thank you so much," she said. "I didn't know what I was going to do." He smiled, a little more confidently this time. "Someone helped me this morning." Just passing it on. The woman, whose name was Rachel, couldn't stop thinking about that moment. Later that afternoon, she stopped at a grocery store. As she checked out, she noticed an elderly man in front of her arguing softly with the cashier. "I thought I had enough," he said, his voice shaky. "I'll just put these back." Rachel looked at the items: milk, bread, a few essentials. "It's okay," she said, stepping forward. "I've got it." The man turned, surprised. "Oh, no, I couldn't." "Please," she insisted with a warm smile. "Someone help me today. Let me do the same." The cashier smiled as well, ringing up the items. The elderly man's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, you're very kind." Rachel simply nodded. "Just pass it on." Days passed. The elderly man, whose name was Mr. Thompson, lived alone. Life had grown quiet after his wife passed, and most days felt heavy with silence. But that small act of kindness stayed with him. A week later, he found himself at a bus stop. A teenage boy sat nearby, frustrated, kicking at the ground. "Missed my interview," the boy muttered. "Bus was late. Now it's all messed up." Mr. Thompson leaned over. "Where was it?" "Downtown, but it's too late now." Mr. Thompson checked his watch, then made a decision. "I have a car," he said. "It's not far. Let me take you." The boy looked up, shocked. "Really? Really?" They drove in silence at first, then slowly began to talk. The boy, Marcus, shared how much he needed the job to help his family, to build something for himself. When they arrived, Marcus rushed out, then turned back. "Thank you," he said, breathless. "I won't forget this." Mr. Thompson smiled. "Just pass it on." Months later, Emma's life hadn't gotten easier. Bills still piled up. Long hours still stretched her thin. Some days, she wondered if kindness even made a difference in a world that felt so heavy. One evening, as she prepared to close the cafe, the door chimed again. A young man walked in, dressed neatly, confidence in his step. "Are you Emma?" he asked. She looked up, confused. "Yeah, that's me." He smiled. "I think you bought someone a coffee a few months ago." Emma blinked, trying to remember. I. "I've done that a few times." He nodded. "Well, that man helped someone, who eventually helped me." Emma leaned against the counter, curious now. "I had a job interview that day," he continued. "I almost missed it. But a stranger gave me a ride. I got the job. It changed everything." He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope, placing it gently on the counter. "I've been trying to find where it all started," he said. "And I think it started with you." Emma hesitated. "What is this?" "Just something to say thank you." She opened the envelope slowly. Inside was a check. Not for a few dollars, but enough to cover her rent, fix her car, and give her something she hadn't felt in a long time. Relief. Tears filled her eyes as she looked up. I don't know what to say." The young man smiled. "Say you'll keep being kind." Emma let out a soft laugh through her tears. "I will." He nodded. "Good. Because you never know how far it goes." And with that, he turned and walked out, leaving Emma standing there, heartful in a way she hadn't expected. That night, Emma locked up the cafe and stepped outside. The city lights shimmered around her, and for the first time in a long time, the weight on her shoulders felt lighter. All because of a simple cup of coffee. A small choice. A moment of kindness. She looked up at the sky and whispered to herself, "It matters." Because it did. Kindness wasn't loud. It didn't demand attention. It didn't always come back right away. But it moved. From person to person. From heart to heart. Changing lives in quiet, powerful ways. So the next time you wonder if your kindness makes a difference, remember this story. Remember that even the smallest act can travel farther than you'll ever see. And maybe, just maybe, it'll find its way back to you when you need it most. Until then, keep going, keep caring, and keep choosing kindness.